This actually segues into the next story because there has been huge news about Marianne Williamson's campaign that was announced yesterday, as well as RFK Jr.'s campaign. Now, we'll get started with RFK. We'll end with Marianne because that news is kind of crazy. Okay. RFK Jr. has announced that he has selected his campaign manager. I kind of saw this coming. I kind of figured it would be this person. I covered his announcement on the ground here in Boston, and this individual did have a speech right before RFK decided to speak, and he introduced RFK Jr. So let's go ahead and get into it. Shout out to Case Study QB for this clip. Here is RFK Jr.'s new campaign manager.
This week, Robert F. Kennedy made a very important and very interesting decision. Kennedy chose former Ohio Congressman Dennis Kucinich as campaign manager. There are few people more capable of identifying the corrupt rot that is controlling today's Democrat Party than Kucinich, who's always had the unique political quality of being a free thinker, not a blind party loyalist like most in Washington. Take a listen to Dennis Kucinich in 2008 at the DNC, back when the Democrat Party was not a globalist, race-baiting, authoritarian censorship machine.
Wake up, America! The pharmaceutical companies took over drug pricing. Wake up, America! The speculators took over Wall Street. Wake up, America! They want your Social Security. Wake up, America! Multinational corporations took over our trade policies. Factories are closing. Good-paying jobs are being lost.
Isn't it interesting how politics evolves in such a short period of time? That was 15 years ago when Democrats wanted the southern border closed to protect middle-class wages, back when they cared about the people of this country rather than concerning themselves primarily with everybody else in the world.
And remember what they did to Dennis Kucinich, right? Right. See, Dennis Kucinich was one of those politicians that pushed heavily against the Democratic Party, the establishment of the Democratic Party. So they decided that Dennis Kucinich was a problem. So they decided to redraw his district so that he wouldn't have one. Just like that. When I tell you the game is rigged, the game is rigged. They don't want you. They want you out. If you're not playing the game that they want, the way they want you to play that game, they'll just get rid of you. Just like that.
You may not agree on all the themes Kucinich just listed off, but some of that speech, don't deny it, it resonates with any honest and free-thinking person in this country. Here's a little more.
This is not a call for you to take a new direction from right to left. This is a call for you to go from down to up. Up with the rights of workers. Up with wages. Up with fair trade. Up with creating millions of good-paying jobs, rebuilding our bridges, our water system, our sewer systems, our ports.
So
that was before Bernie ran. So does some of Bernie's message sound a little bit similar to what Dennis was just saying there? Not about the left and the right, but from the bottom up.
If that messaging sounds familiar, it's because it so closely resembles how Donald Trump won the presidency in 2016. Now think about the statements made in that 2008 DNC speech in the context of America in 2023, a nation currently being led by a globalist stooge captured by the neocon corporate global agenda, an agenda his party once fought so hard against. Today, the American middle class has plummeted on the Democrat list of priorities. We've all watched this happen in recent years, and that's exactly why the Robert Kennedy campaign is unusually strong right now. 3 separate polls all finding the Kennedy family scion with about 20% support among Democrats. It's pretty impressive considering how early it is and how little effort has gone into this.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that Gavin Newsom, it looks like he might be trying to creep his way in to run, by the way. I'll let you know if that changes, it's getting closer to that decision. But it seems like they're trying to get an establishment Democrat to kind of swoop on in there because they realize Joe Biden is polling so poorly.
Offering an option for disillusioned Democrats, and trust that there are millions of disillusioned Democrats in this country, as we all together watch a bumbling, senile president controlled by the most radically left administration that this country has ever seen.
How is he controlled by a radically left administration? If that were the case, we would have radically left policies. You see how they just BS people? Pay very close attention to the narrative that this guy is saying here. That didn't make any sense.
Dismantling law and order and common sense immigration policy, failing to avert war in Europe, and constantly stirring up racial division for political benefit. Most real Democrats are aware of how horrific the Biden presidency has been. The media is desperately trying to keep the party together by screaming "Orange man bad" every single day, all day long. The truth is, Democrats are quietly screaming for anybody else. Here's Robert F. Kennedy's pitch.
My father and my uncle had a vision for America, a vision of racial harmony, of prosperity for all Americans, of peace in the world, and of honest government. Their lives were tragically cut short, and America took a different path. Yet the possibility they foresaw is still alive, the America that almost was, and yet may be. The problem is a system that no longer serves the people, and a people who are so divided and so fearful that they are easily ruled. We will scale down the war machine and bring our resources home. We will end the secrecy, the censorship, and the surveillance. I'm inviting all of you to join me to create an America that we can believe in and be proud of again.
You got a message like that versus whatever Biden's stirring up in 2024. And Dennis Kucinich joins us now. And sir, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We do appreciate it. I want to ask you, if Trump is the nominee.
And that's exactly why they won't let him win. I'm sorry, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but I'm just keeping it real. What he just told, that message he just gave you right there about the anti-war, the scale down the war machine, all that kind of stuff, that's exactly why they're not going to let someone like him win. They wouldn't let someone like Bernie Sanders win, even though he was polling top spot at one point in time, like in 2020, because he was talking about giving everybody health care in this country, cutting back on big pharma. The people who run, who really want to disrupt things, they're not going to let those people win. And by they, I mean the DNC.
2024 for the Republicans, you say that Robert F. Kennedy has a better shot at beating him than Joe Biden. Why do you believe that?
Yes. I think that Mr. Kennedy may be the only Democrat who is capable of challenging former President Trump. Mr. Kennedy's themes that deal with freedom, get out of censorship, stopping these wars, healing America, bringing America together, finding the underlying unity that has for years and generations been characteristic of our country. Going back to that, so we're all Americans again, not left, right, Democrats and Republicans, liberal, conservatives. We're Americans. And I think Mr. Kennedy has the history, the thematics, and the moral courage to be able to bring this country together again.
It's a good message. You clearly see a lot of problems with today's Democrat Party. You've been critical of it most of your career. But I think especially now you see it, or you wouldn't have signed up to knock off the incumbent president, which is a bold move. What are you most worried about when you look at your party today?
You know, the Democratic Party, which is my party, I've been a member of it for generations, has lost contact, I believe, with those sensibilities of the American people that have to do with peace and prosperity and the idea of unity as a country. The divisiveness that has gone on in the last few years has been accelerated. The name calling, the vituper. Mr. Kennedy is the one person who can unite us, and that's frankly why I think they'll win.
I want to just chime in here for a second. I'll pull it back just a little bit. He was talking about, what the Democratic Party has lost touch with, the people and peace and working class. I throw in there as well. You know what they haven't lost touch with, though? Money. They haven't lost touch with money. They haven't lost touch with donors. They haven't lost touch with the military industrial complex and supporting the MIC to the point where you have over $800 billion bloated defense budget. They haven't lost touch with Wall Street. Remember Barack Obama? He didn't want to help the American people. He chose to bail out the banks instead of the American people while they sat up there and lost their homes. That's one thing that has not changed. They have not lost touch with money. And there's a reason for that. They're owned. They're owned. I don't believe anymore that you can change the Democratic Party from within the inside. I sat back and I watched this for years. And at one point I thought it could happen. But based on what I have seen, I don't believe it. I don't believe it when squad members tell Nina Turner that they didn't support her because they were threatened on the inside. I don't believe it when they rig these things against Bernie Sanders. You win every county in West Virginia and the superdelegates give it to Hillary Clinton anyway. I don't believe it. I don't believe it because the party is owned. It's a corporation. I don't believe it because Bruce Spiva made it very clear during the DNC fraud lawsuit that the Democratic Party, the DNC, can select the candidate and they don't owe you a fair election. That's why I don't believe it.
Name calling, the vituper. Mr. Kennedy is the one person who can unite us, and that's frankly why I think they'll win. I think people are just tired of this constant rhetoric of divisiveness that rips people apart. I mean, look at how many families have been divided by the politics of our country. We want to heal that. We want to heal the divide. We want to make Americans feel just, just reclaim that love of country which united us and caused us to separate differences we may have ever had. That's what I think Robert F. Kennedy Jr. presidency would be about. And I think we're seeing people from across the political spectrum coming to Mr. Kennedy's support because of the feeling they get that he's the one who could finally start to turn America back to a more original purpose and unite us in a way that we haven't been for a long time.
That is true. Like during his campaign announcement, I did see people from different political ideologies who a lot of them came out united based on the anti-war message that RFK Jr. had. That being said, Dennis Kucinich, knowing how the Democratic Party has screwed him over, he has personal experience with this. Dennis have to know how this is going to pan out. Maybe, he's still hopeful that things will be different this time around, but I'm not. And I don't see anyone trying to get money out of electoral politics. Eric, we can go ahead and pan to the second part of the Type VNC because I want to bring in what's happening with Marianne Williamson's campaign because something else is up. Yesterday, this message went out. Now, there's two messages. The first one is from one of Marianne Williamson's campaign staff member. Now, this was Jason, I believe, was the communications director. So this came out yesterday. Of course, Lucy was saying that it was deleted, but apparently Lucy remembered that there was a screenshot, said, there it is. Thank you, Sabrina. Yes, I told you the receipts here. So Jason Call, who was actually a part of Marianne Williamson's campaign, tweeted this out yesterday. Another announcement. I resigned from Marianne Williamson 2024 campaign yesterday. Some wonderful people on the team I hope to work with again. I am as proud of the platform that Hannah Jodat, I don't know who that is, and I created as anything I have ever done politically. I wish the campaign success in the primary. So Jason stepped down. If that's the communications person there, that's not good for the campaign. Not a good look. Now, Jason also tweeted that it looks like he is running for office again. So he said here, thank you to the Green Party of Washington. We have raised the filing fee to challenge fossil fuel and war machine owned Democrat Rick Larson in Washington 02. So that's District 2. This is a campaign of action for the living planet and just future for all people. And here is the advertisement here. It says Jason Call, U.S. Representative, Congressional District 2, Green Party. So for those who are not aware, Jason's been on the show before. He was here on the New Year's Eve special as well. Jason has run for office before as a Democrat, as a progressive Democrat. He did not win. And after his last race, he did say that he would never run as a Democrat again. And to be fair, looks like he's keeping his word. He's running as a Green Party member. So if I'm guessing here, he probably had to step down from Marianne's campaign because he's running his own campaign. It would be very difficult to do two at the same time. If any of you have ever been involved in campaign, you understand how that works. But still isn't a good look for Marianne. And then some people are asking, well, if he was a member of the Green Party, why was he working on a Democrat's campaign? I don't know. We may never know. Maybe because there could have been a chance that maybe she would go through Green Party if she changed her mind or whatever. I don't know. I don't think that's the case, but that's a good question. Now that's one person, but here's the big one. Peter Dao, who is Marianne's campaign manager, he has announced that he has resigned. This was a double whammy yesterday. I couldn't believe it. Peter Dao said, personal note, Let me make this bigger. Personal note. After much consideration, I've decided to leave Marianne Williamson's presidential campaign where I was campaign manager. Details to follow. So he did produce some more details. As you can imagine, if you just go through the comments, we don't have time to go through all the comments. But the comments are not too yeah. So he has announced that he is stepping down as campaign manager. So now Marianne Williamson's campaign has no campaign manager. This is not a good look. Not right now. Now, there's more because he did tease more information, and I want to know what you guys think about this. So today, he tweeted Independent Run 2024. Of all the election cycles I've been involved in, this is the most primed for a viable third-party candidate espousing popular left principles. My mission is to help make that happen. Now, hold on to your seats, because we don't know if this means that Peter himself is considering running as an independent or third-party candidate. Don't know. Or it could mean that he is interested in helping someone get to that point, helping another candidate run as an independent or third-party candidate. Either way, Peter has resigned from Marianne Williamson's campaign and now seems to be on the push for an independent or third-party run for someone, if not for him, for someone else. I kid you not, I can't make this up. He went on to say, in 2020, I voted green because I opposed the duopoly. Biden's presidency is the ultimate confirmation that the system is rigged to perpetuate the oppressive status quo. A dirty break is one way to do it, but there are more direct approaches. So this brings up another question. Did Peter step down because maybe Marianne is not willing to do the dirty break? We don't know. He says there are more direct approaches, but he doesn't go into detail about that. So people are kind of online, just kind of like, what does all this mean, Peter? What are you trying to say to us, right? And there's more. Now, I don't know if this is connected, but then also today, Andrew Yang announced the Forward Party gets new awesome people every day. But tomorrow will still be a big announcement. Could be totally separate. We do not know. But interesting, this is all kind of happening at the same time. Could it be that maybe Peter is going to look to work within the Forward Party? I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But there are interesting things that you need to know about Peter. Remember, Peter came from the Hillary Clinton campaign. When it was announced that he was going to be Marianne's campaign manager, there were some skeptics on social media that, and I'd say rightfully so, were questioning, why would you hire someone who comes from the Hillary Clinton campaign and you're supposed to be to the left of Joe Biden? Similar criticism that was given to Nina Turner when she brought in Bakari Sellers to work on her campaign. People had the same thing. Why are you guys bringing in these individuals that smeared the Bernie campaign? And Peter was one of those people that did that as well. So there's an entire article about this, about Peter. I don't know if you guys have seen this, and both of us follow each other on Twitter, but I don't know what's going on with Peter. And it was called What Happened to Peter Dao? I'm not going to read the entire article, but just a little snippet here. It says the former Hillary Clinton cheerleader is now one of Bernie Sanders' biggest online boosters. Critics smell a grift, but maybe Dao is just being Dao. And Eric, when I'm done with this little piece, you can add this into the link in the comments so people can read this on their own, because it is a long article. But this piece here, in November, liberal activist and Twitter personality Peter Dao got into a spat with an unlikely adversary. Neera Tanden, the head of the Center for American Progress and Dow's erstwhile ally in the fight to elect Hillary Clinton president 2016. After she called his criticism of Obamacare from the left enraging and the most privileged BS, Dao tweeted an affronted riposte to his nearly 300,000 followers. And here's the tweet here. He said, privileged, huh, Near Tandon? I'm Lebanese Jewish and was a war refugee as a kid. I worked hard for everything in my life, dealing with PTSD the entire time. My argument is that we're losing the larger war against the right despite temporary victories. Dispute that. Now, that was 2019. And it goes on to talk about how she blocked him, etc. But this piece here, Dao's motivations are harder to parse. He is one of the very few veterans of the bitterly contentious 2016 Democratic primary to switch sides, transitioning in the past year from one of Clinton's most fanatical surrogates to an equally fervent booster of Sanders. His change of heart has been startling. The same guy who, after Clinton fainted during a visit to the World Trade Center Memorial 2 months before the election, tweeted, to Hillary haters jabbering about NYC weather, I live here. I usually play outdoor summer hoops, and today it was too hot even for a stroll. No one, it seemed, was more willing to go all out for Clinton's lost cause than Dao. It's no wonder that he got a shout out in the first section of Clinton's campaign memoir, What Happened, while Tandon's name is absent throughout. So one of the things that people have kind of faulted Peter for is that they feel like he's kind of shifty. They're like, 1 minute you're on this cause, the next minute you're on another cause. But the point that you need to take home with you today is this, is that Marianne Williamson's campaign is having some difficulties in reference to the staff. So Jason Call, communications, stepping down, and the campaign manager stepping down. I don't know where that goes from here. Doesn't mean she cannot get another campaign manager. She can. But what I am saying is you just connect the dots. You have, again, Marianne was selected to run as the progressive candidate. And then you have her officiating Crystal and Kyle's wedding. And then after that, you have the interview with Crystal Ball and RFK Jr. and the pushback from the audience members about that. And then now you have the campaign manager stepping down and you have the communications director stepping down. Not good looks. Now, I did not have time to fit it in today, but I also saw something else that I do need to discuss in reference to RFK Jr. I have to look into it a little bit more, so I didn't want to talk about it until I actually researched it. But apparently now, I told you we were going through the list of people that have these connections to Jeffrey Epstein. Now there is a claim that RFK Jr. could also have a connection to Jeffrey Epstein. So I'm going to have some time to research, look into that, and then I can discuss that on Tuesday night. We are going to go ahead and end, though, with New Mexico. We're going to wrap up here because I didn't get a chance to finish the ballot initiatives here. So we've been talking about ballot initiatives on this show, going through all of the states, and we're going to wrap up with New Mexico. This is question 3, New Mexico question 3, public education bond issue. A yes vote supported authorizing the sale of issuance of over $215 million in bonds for improvements to higher education, special public schools, and tribal schools. This measure passed by 61.28%. That is huge. That is huge. I don't have time to go into the ballot question, but what you do need to know is that Christine Chandler sponsored the measure package. There was no opposition to this. In reference to campaign finance money that was spent, there was over 300,000 that was spent to support this ballot measure. There was no money spent to oppose it. So, and this is for education. So that's a big one. Then we're going on to question 4, New Mexico constitutional amendment, land grant permanent fund distribution for early childhood education amendment. A yes vote supported allocating 1.25% of the 5-year average of year-end market values of the money in land grant permanent fund to early childhood education and the public school permanent fund, and providing that the allocation would not occur if the average year-end market value for the preceding 5 years of the LGPF fund balance was below 17 billion. This measure passed. That's 70.34%. So that was ratified as a constitutional amendment. Again, because I'm pressed for time, I don't have time to go into all the specifics, but I think you get the gist of it here. Here are some of the people who supported it, mainly Democrats. There's one independent that supported it. And then some of the organizations, Center for Civic Policy, New Mexico Voices for Children. And then there's some of the arguments there. Opposition was State Rep William Scherer. He's a Republican. And campaign finance, there was no money, again, spent to oppose this ballot measure or this constitutional amendment, none at all. But there was over 5 million spent to support it. So that was interesting, considering you did have a representative that did oppose it. And then the final one here is New Mexico Constitutional Amendment 2, authorizing funds for residential services infrastructure amendment. A yes vote supported authorizing the legislator to appropriate state funds for infrastructure that provides services primarily for residential use, such as internet, electricity, natural gas, water, and wastewater, through a majority vote in each chamber. This measure passed by 65.13%. New Mexico was on a roll. Not seeing bad ones already. And then here's a list of supporters here, all Democrats, and there was no opposition. In reference to campaign finance, there was no money spent to support or oppose. And then this one here, New Mexico Constitutional Amendment 3, appointed judge elections amendment. A yes vote supported this constitutional amendment to provide that an appointed judge shall be up for election at the first general election 1 year after being appointed. This is like the 4th one I've seen from the states in reference to the judge appoint. It's interesting. This passed by 68.79% as a constitutional amendment. So that was ratified. Who supported it? Joseph Cervantes. He's a Democrat. No one opposed it. There was no money spent to support or to oppose. And that is the rest of New Mexico. I will go ahead and highlight these super chats. I'll hit Rockfin, and then we have a special shout out to a hero of sorts, an activist hero who was also an athlete who passed away, and we'll do that. Shout out to Floofy Cat for becoming a Sabby member, and thank you for the super chat, William. Pandemic Kim made bank peddling BS during the pandemic the same as Crystal Ball. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. You know who didn't make any? Me. I mean, nothing. Thank you for the super chat, Cool Blue. Yesterday's Republicans are today's Democrats. I could see where you're going with that. Thank you for the super chat, Dwayne. Dems gerrymandered Kucinich out of office. RFK Jr. must fight, or many will think he's a sheepdog. They'll screw or kill RFK Jr. just like they screwed Dennis and killed RFK Sr. Oh, this is a very important message that people need to hear. And thank you, Chris. I love you and Kim Sabby. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for the super chat, GDNPB. I wonder what that stands for. Slit the vote for those who want change and end up with another Trump/Biden BS election in 11/24. It'll probably be Trump Biden anyway. Although I may have some news about DeSantis in the next couple of days. And thank you for the super chat, Kevin. Sabby, we need a serious third party challenger for the general election. Challenging the president during the primaries are a necessary step to build the new governing coalition. Yeah, I said this. It needs to be someone with a big name. I thought Jesse Ventura was going to be that person, but it doesn't look like he wants to. I'll take the comment on Rockfin, Eric. Thanks. Thank you for the tip on Rockfin, Roger. Democrat Party is a corporation, huh? Maybe we should get GOP AGs to implement the Model Corporate Charter Revocation Act to revoke the Democrat Party's corporate charters. The SCOTUS did say state attorney generals have the power to do this if that corporation has a record of egregious behavior. What can be more egregious than proof shown from the DNC fraud lawsuit? That's right. Also, Ball did say she wanted to replace mainstream media. Well, there you go. There you go.